Welcome, everybody, and good evening from Cambridge. My name is Sandra Naddaff, and I am the Dean of the Harvard Summer School. I'm so very pleased to welcome you tonight to this information webinar on the Harvard Summer School high school programs, which promises everything you need to know before you apply. Harvard Summer School is the oldest academic summer program in the United States. The first summer course was offered in 1871. And each summer, we welcome students from around the world, including Harvard College and Harvard graduate students, visiting college students from other universities, adult lifelong learners, and of course, high school students just like you, bright young scholars eager to explore new ideas, experience college life, and discover what learning at Harvard truly feels like. At Harvard Summer School, you'll join classmates from more than 100 countries and every corner of the United States. You'll live and learn alongside peers who share your curiosity and ambition, and together you'll dive into subjects you care about, from neuroscience to literature, from computer science to creative writing. The academic experience is at the heart of what the summer school is all about. Our students are explorers. They come here to stretch their academic boundaries, to ask big questions, to grow in confidence. Many of our former students tell us that their summer at Harvard was a turning point, a time when they discovered new passions, made lifelong friends, and had, in the words of one of our students, an absolutely life-changing experience. So if you're ready to stretch your mind, maybe even change your mind, challenge yourself, and experience a little of what college life at Harvard is like. Take notes during tonight's presentation and discussion. You'll leave not only with knowledge, but with a new sense of possibility, and perhaps the start of a lifelong connection to Harvard.
Hello from Cambridge, Massachusetts. My name is Dr. Jacqueline Newcomb. I am the director of the Harvard Pre-College Program, and I am delighted to be with you. Let's get started with a question you're probably all asking yourselves. Why Harvard Summer School? Well, at Harvard Summer School, you really will experience Harvard. We're not just a high school program. We are a college program for high school students. Our students get to test an Ivy League college experience before they have to make their actual college decisions. You'll enroll in college courses taught by Harvard faculty or esteemed visiting lecturers. This work is rigorous, as you'd imagine from Harvard, so you should expect to be challenged. Of great value is your opportunity to explore academic passions, gain confidence through rigorous coursework, and master concepts at the undergraduate level. You may also try ambitious endeavors that go beyond the classroom. Upon completion, you can put Harvard on your own college application. Completing a college course, let alone a Harvard course, while still in high school proves that you can succeed at any top academic level. Your summer at Harvard will expose you to new challenges, which could be a compelling subject on your college application essay. In support of preparing you for college admissions, we organize college prep events, including admissions panels, workshops on writing the college admissions essays, and much more. Growing at Harvard Summer School happens both inside and outside of the classroom. You can choose a residential program in Cambridge, Massachusetts. It's a wonderful location in a diverse metropolitan area, steps away from the start of the American history, and it's near Boston Harbor and Cape Cod. We offer a variety of activities, both in person and online, so that all of our students can participate, whether they're living on campus or attending virtually. These include dances, talent shows, and online last year we had over 300 students participating in 13 student-led clubs, with events such as game nights, global debates, book clubs, and just to name a few. You have the unique opportunity to be in a totally, truly global community. Our former students consistently share how much the friendships they made here mean to them, and they continue to keep in touch for many, many years. At Harvard Summer School, we also have a huge support system. Whether you're online or you're in person, Harvard's instructors and teaching assistants are here to support you. They all have office hours, especially if you need help with grasping a brand new concept. If you need help with a paper, we have a writing center, plus our librarians are really great at finding information for you. If working out is part of your routine, you have access to Harvard's recreational facilities. You can swim, you can lift weights, you can even take group classes or kayak down the Charles River. All of that is included. We have measures in place to help you keep safe. Your Harvard ID grants you access to our housing and other buildings that are restricted only to those affiliated with Harvard. We have on-call staff 24/7, and really will get to know you as a student and serve as a resource and a mentor. And each day here is really yours to manage, just like if you were in college, where things are, like time management or asking for help, getting enough sleep. They're all skills that you will learn to need to succeed when you're in college. Although you're in charge of your schedule, you'll have the support of the Harvard community to help ensure your success, offering a solid foundation to becoming independent, which will make your transition to college much, much easier. So, what program is right for you? Well, first, it's important to let you know that you can only apply to one of our programs, either the 7-week secondary school program or the 4-week option of the secondary school program, or the pre-college program. So now I'm going to detail the differences between these programs, but I want you to make sure that you check out our website and see the types of courses each program offers. The course catalog for last year's courses for each program is on our website, and you'll get to see a variety of what we offered last year. Another consideration is whether you really want to do a residential experience or if you want to take classes online or as a commuter. Both programs offer residential living in the same dorms and houses that Harvard College students live in during the academic year. A meal plan is included in the program cost for residential students, and each residential program has staff proctors who are dedicated points of contact for students every day. Many universities call them RAs. We call them proctors here at Harvard. It's also important that you understand our eligibility requirements. We have both age and graduation year requirements. All of our programs require students to be at least 16 years old by June 20th of 2026 and not turn 19 before July 31st. For the secondary school program, you must graduate high school in 2026, 27, or 2028. In the US, you would be considered a sophomore, junior, or senior when you're applying. To be eligible for our pre-college program, we would like you to have or future graduation dates of the 2027 or 2028. And in the US, that's equivalent to a current sophomore or junior in high school. Unfortunately, we do not make any exceptions to the age or graduation year requirements due to the rigor of our programs. We also have visa requirements for our international students. If you're applying to a 4 or 7-week secondary school program as a residential or commuting student, you must submit your application by our regular admissions deadline, which this year is February 11th, 2026. However, we really recommend that you apply as far in advance as possible. Once admitted, Harvard Summer School will issue you a Form I-20, which will then be used for you to apply for an F1 visa at a US embassy or consulate in your own home country. For the pre-college program, because the program does not offer credit-bearing courses, international students need only to obtain a tourist visa. That's a B1 or a B2 visa, or an ESTA visa waiver to attend. We're now posting the links in the chat for you about more information on visas. Now we're going to dive into our program offerings. I'll begin with our secondary school program. All course offerings for the secondary school program are taken for academic credit and a letter grade. You can choose from over 200 courses, ranging from astronomy to entrepreneurship, constitutional law to poetry, or neuroscience to screenwriting. You can choose from 7-week or a 4-week option. The 7-week program offers 3 flexible formats to take a course for credit. We have a residential option where you'll live on campus. We have an online option where you'll participate remotely and take online classes. Or you can commute to campus living nearby, either at home or with a relative. You'll commute to Harvard for your classes and all your on-campus activities. If you choose the 7-week residential option, you need to take 8 credits. So that's either 2 4-credit courses, 4, not 4, and 1 8-credit course. So either one would work for us, either 2 4 credits or 1 8-credit. However, online and commuting students, you have an option to take either one. So you can take either 1 class or 2. The 7-week secondary school program offers specially designed focused areas of study, such as computer science and engineering, or medical sciences and ethics, where you can really dive deeply into a topic during that time. Alternatively, you can choose a career pathways course, where these offer you the opportunity to explore a career that you might want to pursue, such as journalism in the digital age. These courses offer real-world projects and include lectures from practitioners in their field. In our 4-week secondary school program, you can take 1 4-credit course, and it will be obviously 4 weeks. Students, you will choose from approximately 30 hand-selected course options, and this program is fully residential. This is the same as our pre-college program, our 2-week fully residential pre-college program. So 4-week and 2-week are both on campus. You'll take 1 non-credit course, and that will cover nearly a whole semester's of work. And that's just happening in 2 weeks. So that means you will get to experience the expectations of college academics without the pressure of grades. There's over 100 courses to choose from in that program. We also have a passport program in the pre-college program. This requires students to select and attend co-curricular events in 4 categories: academic exploration, college readiness, social and residential, or trips and recreation. The Harvard Summer School organizes activities for all of our students online and on campus. It's just the pre-college program that has the activities requirement. We're going to post a link in the chat now to our program comparison guide so you can see our program information at a glance. And I do want to note that the 2026 course catalog for all of our programs will be available on our website in late January. The Harvard faculty will be voting on our courses next week. So we won't be able to put those up until late January when everything is scheduled. But you can see our offerings from this past summer using the links in the chat. So feel free to browse that catalog. There's one for each of our course offerings. And finally, we're going to go over the costs of the program. So our 7-week SSP, or secondary school program, SSP for short, that costs $15,736 if you're a resident, and that includes your tuition for 2 courses or 1 8-credit course, as well as your rooms and meals. Commuting and online students, you will pay either $4,180 for 1 course or $8,160 for 2. Our 4-week SSP costs $9,600, which includes tuition for 1 course, room, and meals. And SSP students, you also will have the $200 program fee for your activities. For our pre-college non-credit program, which is 2 weeks long, that cost is $6,100, and that includes pretty much everything: your tuition, your room, your meals, and your activities for that session. Of course, we also have our non-refundable $75 application fee, and that's due when you submit your application. Need-based scholarships are available to students who are U.S. citizens, permanent residents, or have DACA status and demonstrate financial need. These scholarships typically cover either 25%, 50%, 75%, and those with the highest need will receive 100% of their program costs covered in the scholarship. Please note that travel to and from the program, spending money while you're here, and of course supplies such as textbooks, they are not included in the scholarship or in the program costs. For 2026, our 7-week secondary school program runs from June 20th through August 8th. And our 4-week secondary school program runs from July 12th to August 7th. And these are the pre-college dates. So for our 2-week pre-college program, we offer 3 sessions across the summer. And those, session 1 is June 21st through July 2nd. July 5th through July 17th is session 2, and July 19th to the 31st is session 3. And some students can attend just one, but if you'd like to come for more than one session, you are welcome to do so. We usually have about 50 students every year do 2 or in some even 3 sessions in our pre-college program because they want to experience more than one type of course. So that was a lot of information I just gave you. So before we jump into our application requirements, let's see if everyone is still with me. Share with us, what are you most excited for? And what are what do you really want to get out of the Harvard Summer School? So what are you most excited for? And what do you want to get out of the Harvard Summer School? So take a moment, fill out that quiz. And we'll see. I see a lot of variety of answers coming in. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. If you haven't answered yet, take your time, think about it. We'll leave this question open as we finish our presentation. And now I'd like to introduce my colleague, Ms. Hadley Labby. She is our high school programs coordinator, and she's going to tell you all about the admissions process.
Thank you, Dr. Newcomb. So first and most importantly, our applications open on Monday, December 1st. Please be reminded that you can apply to only one program. You'll choose either the 7-week secondary school program application, the 4-week secondary school program application, or the 2-week pre-college program application. Each application includes several short essay questions, and you should complete your application using a desktop computer. Please do not use your smartphone. In addition to the application itself, we require several supplementary materials, one of those being the counselor report. In the application, you will provide the name and email address of your guidance counselor, college counselor, or school head, like a principal, and a link will be sent to them to submit the counselor report. These folks are very busy, so we recommend that you ask them as early as possible and inform them of the application deadline. Your application will not be considered complete until your counselor has submitted the counselor report. We also require transcripts. You will upload your transcripts, including grades from 9th grade through fall 2025, that's this fall. Acceptable documents include progress reports, report cards, or educational summaries from your high school. If you have or are attending an international school, your transcript must be translated into English, and we ask that you also provide the original copy. You will also need to review the rules and media release form and provide your parent or legal guardian's email address. They will receive an email with a link to the rules and media release form to complete. There is a non-refundable $75 application fee due when you submit the application. And finally, if English is not your first language, we do require that you take and submit your scores from either the TOEFL IBT, the IELTS Academic, or the Duolingo English test in your application. We will have more information about these requirements on our websites. Successful students typically score above a 103 on the TOEFL with a 25 or above on the writing section, a 7.5 or above on the IELTS with a 7.0 or above on the writing section, or at least a 135 score on the Duolingo English test. Please note that we must receive all of the items in the application by the deadline for us to consider your application. You can keep track of whether or not we've received each item in your application portal, and you should also check your inbox regularly for any emails from us. Now, I have a few key dates to share with you. I suggest you take screenshots and put them in your calendar. With applications opening up on December 1st, our early application deadline is January 7th, 2026 at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. January 7th is also the deadline for priority need-based scholarships. So if you're applying for financial aid, fill out that section of the application and submit everything by January 7th of 2026. International students hoping to join us on campus as residential or commuting students in our secondary school program, we also highly recommend that you apply by this deadline to ensure that you can meet all requirements. The regular application deadline is February 11th, 2026 at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. It's very important to note that February 11th is the final deadline for applying for a need-based financial aid scholarship. International students, please note that February 11th is the last day to apply if you need an I-20 from Harvard to attend the secondary school program as a residential or commuting student. After February 11th, our programs offer rolling admissions if spots are still available. The absolute final opportunity to apply is April 1st, 2026. I do want to emphasize that this is a late deadline. The late deadline applies only if space is available. Last year, our programs were nearly filled up by the regular application deadline, so it's always better to apply early. Finally, please note that if you're admitted into one of our programs, you have 2 weeks from the date of your acceptance to respond to your offer. Now that you know our application requirements and some of our deadlines, let me ask you, what's the best advice I can give you regarding the application? It's this: apply early. Why apply early? First, students admitted from the early application deadline register for their classes first. So if there's a topic you love or a specific course you want to take, applying early gives you the best chance of getting into that course before it fills up. Additionally, for U.S. citizens, permanent residents, and DACA-qualified students, need-based financial aid is awarded on a first-come, first-served basis, and our financial aid budget is limited. Also, the financial aid window closes after the regular application deadline of February 11th. So if you plan to apply for a scholarship, you must submit all of your application during either the early or regular application period. Finally, applying early allows you time to review your application and follow up with your counselor and parent or guardian about the supplemental materials. It allows you time to reflect thoughtfully on your short essays, review, rewrite, edit, and polish them. We recommend that you allow yourself at least 1 week to complete the short essays and gather the other required information. Remember that your application will not be considered complete until the supplemental materials have been submitted, so take care to monitor your application status as each deadline approaches. Incomplete applications will not be considered. I can't stress this enough: apply early. Okay, now that you're going to apply early and have heard all of the ins and outs about the application process, we'll move on to questions and answers. Dr. Newcomb, I'd like to invite you and Ms. Perry, the Assistant Director of our secondary school program, to begin our Q&A session. Thank you, students, for submitting so many questions. We've compiled them in several topics that we'll cover tonight. Please continue to send us questions and we'll monitor them throughout the night.
Thank you so much, Ms. Flavey. Appreciate all of that. And so, Dr. Newcomb, the first question is going to be for you. What makes an applicant stand out in a good way?
That is a great question. And I love that the person added "in a good way" to their question at the end. I think it's really important that students tell us who they are. We want to hear about you and your experience, not what generative AI tells us about you. We really want you to be authentic. We want to hear your voice. So really, an essay stands out when we feel like we've gotten to know you, what you want to study, why you want to come to Harvard, what are you looking for this summer? I think also we're looking for applicants who are going to get here and have a very good experience. So if you've never taken higher level courses, it's going to be very, very challenging for you to take an entire semester course in 2, 4, or 7 weeks. It's important that you're taking the most rigorous coursework available to you at your current high school. And of course, Ms. Perry and I understand that not all high schools will offer honors, IB, or AP level courses. The admissions committee will take that into consideration. However, if they do offer those higher level courses at your high school and you're not taking advantage of them, it'll be really challenging for you to do well in these programs, and we'll take that into consideration in your application. Ms. Perry, is there anything that you'd like to add that would help make an application stand out to you?
Yeah, I think you covered a lot. One thing I was thinking of though is the word authentic. So I do recommend being authentic. We do want to hear who you really are. Um, Another point that Ms. Labby made, I'm just going to re-stress it, is apply early. That is really helpful for us to see. So make an effort to turn all of those materials in by the deadline. And then I think probably my third piece of advice would be to make sure that all of your materials are in. So Ms. Labby also talked about how there'll be the counselor report as well as something that your parent or legal guardian will need to sign, and that needs to be in by those deadlines. And it's your responsibility as the applicant to make sure that they're getting those in. So being able to kind of check your application portal and checking on the status of your application is something else I would recommend.
Great. So we have another question. Our next question is, what kind of essay questions can I expect on the application? What are you looking for in these essay responses? So Ms. Perry, why don't you take this one?
Yeah, of course. I saw that come up a lot in the Q&A tonight, so I'm happy to speak to that. So one of the first questions that we'll ask you about is going to be what you want to study. And we had mentioned that the course catalog for 2026 won't be available till January, but that's okay because we're not looking for what specific course you want to take. It's more about what is the subject matter that you want to study. And also, why do you want to study that? Is it something that you're really interested in? Is it something you want to see if you're interested in? Maybe for what you want to major in undergrad studies. For some students, it's that course isn't available at their high school. And so this is the only opportunity for them to study that subject matter. So that's what we'll be looking for in one of those essay questions. The rest are all going to be to get to know who you are as a person. So I go back to my last answer about being authentic. That is where in these essays, you'll be able to kind of showcase who you are, because the rest of the application will be kind of seeing your transcripts and things like that. But the essays, you can really shine. So definitely take the time to be able to do that. And lastly, most importantly, proofread. Make sure your essays are free of grammatical errors as well as typos. So that may mean, you have someone take kind of a second look at it. We want you to write your essay. We want it to be in your voice, but have someone else read, see if you missed a little typo there, put a period instead of a question mark, something like that. So that is a little bit kind of the overview of the essays. Dr. Newcomb, is there anything I missed or anything you'd like to add for that?
Just that we don't need you to write a very, very long essay response, right? We're going to read thousands and thousands of applications. Our admissions committee reads so many applications over the year. So we have 5 short essays and they're short, right? So we're looking for you to, write 1 to 2 decent paragraphs. That should work for us. And also be really careful. That proofreading really comes in. It's really important. It comes in handy when we're looking to see, did this student really take the time to make sure that their application was ready? So for example, many students will write their essays in Word and then copy paste them into the application system. But then they won't realize that it cut off mid-sentence because we do have a word count. So it'll be important that we have a character limit. So it'll be important that you really take a minute before you hit submit and make sure that that essay doesn't end in the middle.
That is a great tip, Dr. Newcomb. We definitely do see that during the application season. Next question, I'm going to ask you, Dr. Newcomb. It looks like a few of the questions have been about academic experience. There have been a couple different ones, but seems like our attendees would like to know the difference between non-credit versus credit experience. So would you be able to get us started on that?
Sure. So as we mentioned earlier, the pre-college courses are non-credit and they're available only to pre-college students. We really focus on learning for learning's sake. I created the pre-college program. I'm really proud of it. And I will tell you, I did it because I see so many students worried about getting the perfect letter grade. And I really wanted students to be able to come to Harvard and learn about something that they may not know a lot about, but they have kind of an interest in, or something they're so passionate about and they wanted to see other students in the world kind of learning beside them about something they really love. So in the pre-college program, you're really taking classes with other high school students. Only high school students are in the room, but everyone who's teaching you is Harvard affiliated. They're all already teaching undergraduates at Harvard. So you'll be in class Monday through Friday for 3 hours each day, and you'll have 2 to 4 hours of homework every night. Classes meet at either 8:30, noon, or 3:15, and you're only going to take one class in that 2-week session. The only other thing that's really important about pre-college is that you must attend every class in its entirety to be eligible to receive a passing grade. It's because you're going to do nearly a semester of work in just those 2 weeks. So it's pretty intensive, but it should be really enjoyable as well. So the other students are really going to have that passion for learning just as much as you do. And all students in the pre-college program are going to live on campus and attend the co-curricular passport events that we spoke about earlier. And Ms. Perry, you work very closely with all of our 4 and 7-week courses. So why don't you explain the SSP options to us?
Yeah, absolutely. So in the secondary school program, it's a little bit different because you would be taking courses for credit. And in the courses, there could be a range of ages. So it's not just going to be high school students. There could be adult learners. So that could be undergrads. Sometimes there's graduate students and even just older adults as well in the courses. And then all of the students in our 4-week program, you would take one 4-credit course, which would meet on campus for 2.5 hours, 4 days a week. And all of those courses are going to be everyone for those attend in person. And then for the 7-week program, as we mentioned, there's 3 different modes of attendance for the program. And so if you're residential, you would enroll in 8 credits, which is typically 2 courses. If you commute to campus or if you are an online student, you can enroll in either 4 or 8 credits, which is typically 1 or 2 courses. And I keep saying it's typically 1 or 2 because there are a few intensive 8-credit courses, and those are going to be some of our beginning language courses, as well as some of our courses in the sciences with a lab component. And those are going to cover a year's worth of material in just 7 weeks. So they are very intensive. In the 7-week programs, 4-credit courses meet for 2.5 hours, 2 days a week, and those intensive 8-credit courses would meet for 3 hours, 5 days a week. And then you can expect an additional about 2 to 3 hours a day for homework or for studying. And then I've said the word intensive a couple times. I'm just going to say it one more time and underscore what Dr. Newcomb said, that these are intensive, fast-paced courses, because you have to remember these are college level courses that are covering a semester's worth of content in just 4 or 7 weeks. So keeping that in mind.
Thanks. That's a great summary of our program. It looks like there were some questions about what kinds of courses will be offered. So as I mentioned earlier, the course catalog for 2026 will be available in late January. And we've been looking at lots of course proposals from hundreds of faculty members. So I think we could give our attendees a general preview of what they might expect. So Ms. Perry, why don't you get started on what we're offering in credit?
Yeah, of course. So while we keep saying the course catalog for next year isn't available yet, you can look at last year's, and that is going to give you a good idea of what we're going to be offering this upcoming summer. So I recommend reviewing those. They had put them in the chat earlier in the webinar. You can also be able to search those online and kind of look through what the different courses are between the 3 programs, because they are very different between the programs. And so when you're searching in our catalog, you can search for the pre-college program, you can actually search courses by the specific session. And then for the secondary school program, you can search by part of term, as well as by course format for that. So that's where I was saying the courses can actually, in the secondary school program, we have some that are in person, we have some that are online, which can either be synchronous or asynchronous. So you can search with that as well. We have a ton of courses in the liberal arts as well as the sciences. And so speaking specifically to the SSP, many of the courses we have, some of our more popular ones are biology. Public speaking was very popular this last year. We had multiple sections of it. Chemistry, writing, lots of computer science courses as well. And then actually our most popular courses, which has held strong over the last couple of years, have been economics. So macroeconomics, financial accounting has also been really popular the last couple of years. And so as you can see, the courses are really going to range depending on what you're interested in studying. And for the 7-week program specifically, there's over 200 courses to choose from. So it's quite a bit. And the 4-week program, it's a bit more curated. There'll be about 30 select courses for that program. And I just want to put a reminder in that when you're when you're applying to a Harvard Secondary School program, you're applying to that program, not to a specific course. So course registration is actually a separate process for our admitted students, but you still can get an idea of what you want to study. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to you, Dr. Newcomb, to talk about some of the courses in the pre-college program.
Thanks. Yeah, and it's the same for the pre-college application as well. You're applying to the pre-college program, and then just like you would when you're in college, you apply to a program or a university. Once you're admitted, then you select your courses. So that's how it works for us in all of our Harvard Summer School courses or programs, I should say. So thank you for explaining the credit-bearing courses. I'm really excited about the non-credit offerings. My favorite part of my job is getting to select which courses our Harvard affiliated instructors are going to be teaching in pre-college. And I just finished accepting all of our courses in pre-college. I've got 42 brand new courses running this year. And of course, there's 72 others that ran last year that will be rerunning again this year. If the course is really popular, we offer it even more than once. So for example, constitutional law, civil rights and civil liberties is one of our most popular courses. I offer that all 3 sessions. Same for speaking with passion, power, and purpose. I know Ms. Parry also said speech is really popular in our 7 and 4-week courses as well. Most pre-college program courses are really small. They're seminar style and they're all on campus in person. So our smallest course last year was, we had something on like writing poetry and fiction writing. That was a really small seminar, had like 6 to 8 students in it. Our largest class in pre-college is only 24 students, and those tend to be more in the STEM area. For example, this year we have a brand new biochemistry class, we have a new virology class, we have some new classes in ecology on emotions and a new law and history course we're going to be offering. So those might be a little bigger than some of the smaller seminars that are in more interdisciplinary or humanities based. I think that it's, fair to say that no matter what program you choose, no matter what course you decide to take, you're going to be engaged and you're going to be challenged. So our academic experience is as rigorous as you could expect from any Harvard course.
I agree, Dr. Newcomb. We've seen a couple other questions coming in about courses, and maybe there's been some questions about prerequisites of courses, and that tends to be a bit specific to the SSP program. So I'm happy to speak to that. So for credit courses, there are some when you're reading in there that there are prerequisites. So that is that you need to take that course prior to being able to take this course, which is a little bit different than high school, but that's kind of how in college, how it'll work when you're registering for courses. And when you're looking at that, it's going to list the course that is the course that we offer at the Division of Continuing Education. And so, for example, it might list biology 1A. And so an equivalent of that in high school would be AP Biology or IB Biology HL. So if you've taken that at your high school, you can meet the prerequisites for that course. And if that's something that you have a question about when course registration comes around, that's what we're here for. You can email us. We'll be happy to give you course advising to see if you are able to meet the prerequisites for a course, if you're ready for a course. And I should also mention, those are there to make sure that you're ready for a course. We want to make sure that you have the best chance possible of being successful in a course, which means having that foundational knowledge that you need to succeed. And so that's why we're looking for that with the courses that show those prerequisites there. And one of our next questions we saw come in is, does applying for financial aid impact someone's ability to enter the program or their chances of getting admitted? Dr. Newcomb, would you be able to answer that question?
Sure. Yeah, our admissions process is need blind. So that means that when the admissions committee, which Ms. Perry and I are both members of, when we're reading applications, we do not make any decisions based on whether or not you've applied for financial aid or how much you can pay to come to the program. That's a completely separate process. In fact, we don't even have access to see that material. So just like any other, many undergraduate institutions, the Harvard Summer School high school programs do not look at, whether or not you've applied for financial aid before we make a decision on your application. And I think we've gotten a lot of very logistical questions, Ms. Perry. So can you answer for our attendees questions about the application in particular? For example, we require fall grades for your, when you're applying in December, we want to see your fall grades. So what do you do if fall grades aren't finalized when you need to submit to make it for our early decision deadline, which is January 7th?
Yeah, of course. And I'm glad people have been asking this because this is a very common email that we get in the fall. I will say though, just because we're answering it now, please continue to email us and send us questions. We're happy to answer those. But many students don't have their finalized fall grades when they're applying, especially if you're applying for the early application deadline. And so with this, having a progress report will be fine. What we ask though is that you upload a screenshot of your grade portal. And it's important to make sure that when you're uploading that screenshot, that it's going to show your name as well as your school, the necessary courses, as well as the associated grades and the year that you've taken those. So that will be fine for your transcripts for the fall of 2025. And then I'm also going to add a note in here since we're talking about transcripts. This is a note for international students. So if your transcript or grades are in in a language that's not English, we are going to ask that you have those translated to English, and then you would upload both the original transcripts as well as the translated ones. And you do need to have this completed, the translation completed by either a professional translator, or if you don't have access to that, another good option could be your school administrator or an English teacher to be able to translate your transcripts. But I will note, they cannot be done by you or a friend or a family member. It does need to be someone, a professional translator or an administrator. And I will also note that our admissions committee is trained in reading applications from around the world. I've seen this come in a couple times in questions tonight of, are you familiar with this school system or this grading system? And I will say yes. We read applications from around the world every year. And so we do understand that grading systems vary from country to country, and our team is very equipped for understanding those. But if you do have any questions about your transcripts or what you need to upload, you're welcome to send us an email as well.
Yeah, we've gotten a couple questions about what do I do if I'm in the middle of my application and I have a question. So tell us about how you can reach out to us if you do have questions about any of the things you've talked about or something new.
Yeah, of course. So I've said email us a lot. I'm going to say that. So send us an email or give us a call. One of our last screens when we're done tonight, we're actually going to put up a final slide that will have our contact information on there. So you'll be able to see our email address as well as our phone number, which is great to reach out during this. And I'm going to take that question a little bit farther and just say one of the key takeaways we hope that you get from one of the Harvard Summer School programs is being able to navigate the college admissions process. And so we have an application that kind of mirrors that experience. And, we want you to, if you get stuck, to ask questions and to be able to admit when you do need help. And we hope that applying to these programs, being in these programs, can be a little bit of a learning experience so that when you do go to apply to your undergrad studies, you feel more confident. You're kind of more equipped. You understand what the process would be like. And I will say though, just because you've gone through this doesn't mean you won't have questions for a college admissions or a college application, but hopefully you can learn that asking questions is okay. And staff are here to support you. We do this work because we enjoy it, because we want to support our students. So please do reach out. And like I said, we'll put up at the very end of our webinar, we will put up our email address as well as our phone number so that you can take those down. Okay, Dr. Newcomb. So like I said, I have a couple good logistics questions. So how soon will I know if I've been accepted? And if I am accepted, how quickly do I need to confirm that I will be attending?
Great questions. We're hoping that many of you will be accepted. So we'll have a wonderful program from students from all over the world. I want to reiterate that we had applications from over 90 countries last year. So we are pretty good at reading foreign transcripts. But again, if they are in a language other than one of the ones our staff already know, we want to make sure that you submit both types of transcripts, one translated and one in the original language. But really, we really want you to let us know within 2 weeks of getting a decision if you'll be attending. We always have wait lists. So we want to make sure that if you aren't going to take your seat, that someone else can. And you'll get those decisions for early, they'll be released on Tuesday, February 3rd. For regular, you will be getting your decision on March 10th. And then our late applicants, we start releasing decisions the day after early. I mean, the day after regular, sorry. So our late is rolling, usually within 2 to 3 weeks of your applying, you'll see your response. And then again, we'll want to hear back from you within 2 weeks of the date of the release. So you'll be able to see those decisions right in your application portal. And let's see. Oh, if you decide to change your mind, let's suppose you are, you decide, I don't think I'm going to come. I let my 2 weeks pass. So we're going to assume you're not coming. We're going to ask someone else to fill in where you were going to be off the wait list. But then your summer plans change and you say, I really do want to go to Harvard after all. Just send us an email. If we have space and we've accepted you earlier, we will definitely try to get you back in. But again, we only have so many seats in our classrooms. We only have so many beds in our residence halls and our houses. So we want to make sure that we can get as many students in as early as possible to make everything easier. There's a lot of forms and other pieces to fill out. We've also gotten some questions about what students will receive at the end of their program. So Miss Perry, I think that I'd like you to answer this one.
Yeah, of course, I'd be happy to answer it. So for the secondary school program, you do receive a transcript with a letter grade on it. So that's something that you could use when you are applying to colleges. Additionally, for wherever you're end up studying for your undergrad, you may be able to also transfer those credits. So you will want to make sure you hold on to that transcript. And it is a Harvard transcript with a letter grade on there. And then Dr. Newcomb, would you like to explain what our pre-college students would get for the non-credit courses?
Sure. So as we spoke about earlier, it's learning for learning's sake. So you're not going to get a letter grade, but you still are going to get a Harvard transcript and you'll have a non-credit grade of either AR, which means you've met the requirements, or NM, which means you haven't met the requirements. Typically, students receive an NM if they miss part of their class for some reason. So most of our students are able to be successful in their pre-college course. In addition to the transcript with the non-credit grade, the instructors in pre-college will write you an evaluation of how you did. So, you won't get a letter grade, but you'll get some feedback about this is what you did really well. Here's some areas to improve. It's not a letter of recommendation because, of course, colleges are looking for letters of recommendation from people who've known you for a long time and seen you grow and develop over that time. But you can absolutely use the pre-college non-credit evaluation by the instructor as supplemental material for your application. And it looks like we have time for about one more question. So we're going to start with you, Miss Perry. What makes the Harvard Summer School program for high school students really stand out? Why should students come here rather than another summer program?
That's a big question for our last one. So I think I'm probably biased because I work here, but I think our Harvard programs are wonderful. And I will say, doing one of these programs, you are coming to Harvard. You will be a Harvard student, which means, you will have access to all of the resources of this university, including our libraries, including tutors. And that kind of leads me into another piece of it is academic support. We have a lot of academic support for our students. So I did mention tutors. We also have academic success coaches. We do college admissions panels. We also do college readiness workshops. So helping you kind of how to write the perfect college essay, although maybe perfect's not the right word for that, how to write the most authentic college essay. And we'll also do, as I mentioned for the SSP, you'll have a transcript with a letter grade. And that's a really wonderful thing to add to your college application to show that you're able to do college level work at a very rigorous university and be successful at that. You could also potentially use it as transfer credit at depending on what school you go to and which course you take, which could help you either spend less time in your undergrad studies or work towards a double minor or a double major, some major and a minor. You know, you can use those credits differently depending on where you're going. One of the best things I think about these programs are, though, is you'll get to see what college is like. You know, you'll kind of get to dip your toes into it in a very safe setting. And so you'll get to, if you're in our residential programs, you're living in our dorms, you're eating in our dining halls like Annenberg. You have your student ID, you know, you're going around to the student center or to the libraries. So you're kind of getting to see what that would be like to go live at a college or a university and study. And you'll also kind of learn from that. Do you like studying at Harvard? Do you like the urban setting? Some students love it. I loved it. I loved going to an urban setting for school. Other students don't like it at all. They're like, I would like a quieter setting, a little bit more rural setting. So you'll, and maybe even a smaller school. Harvard's also a pretty large university. So you might discover about yourself that you want a little bit more intimate of a college experience. And so those are the types of things that by doing these programs, you're going to be able to learn about yourself prior to applying to colleges. And so you'll be able to kind of know maybe what would fit better for you for your undergraduate studies. Dr. Newcomb, I said a lot in there. Is there anything else you'd like to add, or kind of what's your perspective on why students should come to our programs?
Thanks. I too am biased towards Harvard, so I will admit that. Really, I created the pre-college program so that students could come and learn what works for them, right? Is this a good fit? But not only is Harvard a good fit, or is this type of rigorous, you know, kind of institution in a city the right fit, but what about what I'm studying? So the learning for learning's sake of pre-college allows students to really delve into a topic they know they're passionate about, or to try something they're not quite sure about without that risk of getting a letter grade that they're not expecting, right? I think one of the things that always makes me, you know, kind of chuckle is that on day one, I will see a student and they'll say, oh, I'm 100% sure I'm going to go and study cancer research. That's my passion. I'm going to do that. And I'll see them on, you know, day 12 of the program, and they'll say, I definitely do not want to study cancer research. They'll say, I really thought it was going to be different, and it's not what I was expecting. And I went to this passport program about public health, and that I want to build public policy around keeping people healthy generally, right? I don't want to be in the research lab. So they still are going to be passionate about health, but in a different way. So I always think that's really interesting, is that students can find out what is going to work for them and maybe what won't work. I will tell you, most students change their major. I was a senior before I figured out I didn't want to be an engineer, right? So, you know, you just never know what's going to happen. But I would say getting this opportunity to not only put your toes in the water, but put your toes in the water at Harvard is pretty remarkable for high school students to get that opportunity. And as Ms. Perry said, you're going to learn to be more independent. You're going to need to manage your own time. You know, you get a lot of freedom in these programs, but we also give you a ton of responsibility. And we expect you to really be a Harvard College student when you're here. So I think that's about, you know, that kind of says it all.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better. I liked the mention about the courses and, you know, being able to kind of shift and learn what you're interested in.
I think that's a really great way for us to conclude this session. And I'd like to thank Miss Labby and Miss Perry for joining me this evening to tell you really a lot about our programs. I really hope you will join the Harvard Summer School. We're not only investing in you and your academic experience within the classroom, but really we want you to be able to balance and learn and study what excites you. I think both of our two-week pre-college program, our 4-week or our 7-week secondary school program really blends the concepts of learning inside and outside of the classroom and sharing that study and balance, right? So once again, I would like to thank you for joining us. I'd also like to relaunch the screen share so we can provide our contact information to you. If we didn't get to any of your questions, as Ms. Perry, reminded you numerous times, you can absolutely email us, call us. You can scan those QR codes for either the domestic or the international student application checklist. That way you can ensure that you are really prepared for when our applications open on December 1st. You'll have everything ready. And keep an eye out for your inbox for our emails from us. The recording of tonight's webinar, along with our welcome from Dean Nadaf, will be emailed to you within about a week. We want to get it captioned and we'll send that out to you. And we'll also be available on the Harvard Summer School YouTube page and our event page that you used tonight to register. Lastly, we'd like to let you know that we'll be joining our friends and colleagues from the Association for Pre-College Program Directors tomorrow for their upcoming summer programs virtual fair. So we're going to share the registration link in the chat right now. And if you would like to go, we would love to talk more with you. You'll have the opportunity to see us. We can chat live or on video, or we can text chat with you tomorrow. It will be Thursday, November 20th, 2025. We'll be in our online booth from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And again, everyone that was on this call, plus some more colleagues, will be on the team to chat with you either one-on-one on video chat or in text discussion. And this concludes our presentation. We thank you once again for joining us from all over the world. We look forward to receiving your application starting December 1st, and we hope to see you this coming summer. Thank you.